When we kick off a new year, one of the things that I typically like to focus on is looking for some stories that have kind of fallen out of favor from both a valuation and from a technical perspective, and just even from a sentiment perspective, that I think could have good upside in the new year, in this case here in 2025. And so one story that I continue to think has a lot of upside here is the China story for multiple reasons. First of all, our market rover has served us really well in making sure that in the case of a stock like Alibaba, for example, here, it takes us out of a stock like this when it's no longer in a bullish trend, then goes into a bearish trend, and we get these sell signals, and then we get the choppy period, and then most recently here, I'm referring back to the past sort of 5-6 months, we are now in a new bullish trend. Now it's still choppy, but we still are in a new bullish trend, and we think that the structural forces here could start to catch up to for the better. To kind of show you this is a chart I came across on X or Twitter, and we know that from a valuation perspective, Alibaba is actually notably cheap compared to other tech stocks. So we're looking at a stock that is something like, it's what I'm reading here is something about 9 times trading at 9 times free cash flow, $50 billion worth of cash on hand, and they continue to actually return cash to shareholders. So we think there's a stock here. This is the minus 30-year performance. If you look at it over the past decade or so, I'll show you the absolute chart in a minute, versus the actual total revenues. If you look at how they've grown over time. So there is a disconnect here, and I think a lot of this is due to, again, some of the geopolitical concerns that people have. Ultimately, I do think that the China story and a stock like Alibaba will continue to grow along with the United States. This has to happen together. So that's why I think it's going to be so important to see how the next 6, 12 plus-ish months start to shape up in terms of policy, how the new U.S. administration wants to interact with China, and vice versa for that matter, right? But I think Alibaba is interesting. Now, if you look at it again, just purely from the stock perspective, I'll bring you the absolute stock chart here. This is the weekly chart. I'll get rid of these lines here as usual because they're just not that important for purpose of this discussion. But you're looking at a stock that really hasn't gone anywhere since 2014, right? So if I were to, you can kind of see it's at the same level. But again, the valuation, the growth of the top line has gone nothing but up, and that's again a big disconnect. So if you're wondering, what are the numbers here more specifically? Well, we do need to see the stock get back on its horse. Again, it is in a bullish trend on our trend following work, but it needs to get going. It's basically at its 200-day moving average here, which really isn't that important for this stock, but I think we need to find new momentum. So we're going to watch this stock very closely for new upside momentum. We're going to be using our TSD trender indicator for that. Right now, it's not there yet, but again, I think this could start to come alive once we start get some headlines. And if that happens, this stock can go right back to where it was in October, which, by the way, is like 40% from here. So that can happen rather quickly. I'll be watching this. Have a great start to the year. Once again, Happy New Year. See you soon.